Hey everybody, and thanks for listening to this edition of 15 Minutes With the podcast. My name is Joe Tommaso, and I'll be your host. 15 Minutes With has recently been featured in the New York Times, the New York Post, and several other media platforms. The show goes into jails and prisons across the country, and we talk to inmates, some high profile and some just your regular Joe or Janes. 15 Minutes With is different from a lot of the other prison channels out there because the people we talk to are still behind prison walls. Unlike corporate shows like Lockup and others, our shows are unscripted. We ask those who we talk with about their crimes and if they feel remorse and about life on the inside in general. If you like the show, please click the like and subscribe buttons. If you want to get notified when we drop new content, hit the notification button as well. If you'd like to help me keep this show going and would like to see it get better, please donate to paypal.me/Joe Tommaso. Again, that is paypal.me/JoeTomaso. If you have any comments or suggestions or would like to see us interview someone in particular, you can email us at insidetherazorwire@gmail.com. Again, the email is insidetherazorwire@gmail.com or snail mail me at P.O. Box 162, West Haven, Connecticut 06516. This is my second interview with Jesse James Hollywood. Jesse James Hollywood is one of the people that was involved in the kidnapping and murder of Nicholas Markowitz in the year 2000. This case inspired the movie Alpha Dog starring Justin Timberlake. Jesse James Hollywood is currently serving life without parole at the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility in California. Last but not least, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for listening, and a special thanks to Ro Clausen, Aaron Ferris, and Andrea Talamelli for all of your help and encouragement. And now, without further ado, here's this edition of 15 Minutes With. No, I'm recording on the computer. Here we go. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so what's up?
What's going on, man?
Not much. Haven't talked to you in about a week, so how we looking for, have you talked to Jeff or anybody else, or?
I have. I've been trying. These guys have been trying to get you. I got my buddy Derek. He's got the number of Jeff. So if you get those guys, if you got the thing going, try to answer. It's kind of the program here is kind of chaotic as to when they'll be able to get on the phone because it goes top tier, bottom tier. And for me, I just wrote you a short letter to let you know, like, what the thing with me, I'm not supposed to be out weekends, holidays, and nights. So that makes it even more difficult for me to get, like, a night call. And then your prime time, it's echoing right now.
Right.
Your prime time is between our count and dinner time, so nobody's out at those times, you know, so that makes it even more of a smaller window.
God.
But I'd like to try to hit all your questions, though.
Okay.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff I didn't touch on. I wanted to talk to you about the kids and just let them know this isn't the route you want to take. Also, people out there fighting cases that are sitting in the counties, they're kind of in uncharted waters, so to speak. The families, and I mean, even the inmates around them and the lawyers aren't going to be able to tell them the kind of situation they're in. I'd like to help those people, and I mean, just if anybody contacts me looking for any kind of advice or just insight into the situation they're in and the best way to conduct themselves. I know when I was going through it, I didn't know, I really didn't realize a lot of things, and nobody told me anything.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Right. So nobody told you anything when you were going through the system, then.
I mean, people told me a lot of things. They just didn't tell me anything that was of any value. When I was brought back from Brazil in 2005, it was March 2005. And just coming to the county jail is definitely a total culture shock. You know, you're thinking with the other side of your brain. I had been out in Brazil, and the next thing you know, I was in the county jail fighting a high-profile murder trial.
Right.
It was really just culture shock at such a high level. And there's a lot of people, the system's changed a lot since then, too. I mean, people are telling me, if you get 1 year to life, you'll never get out. And really, that wasn't the case. I remember there was a guy near me that took a deal for 15 to life, and I was thinking, why would you take that deal? Like why not go in there and fight it? But really, the way the system's working now, people are getting parole, and with all the youth offender stuff that's coming up now, with Senate Bill 260 and 261, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that in Connecticut, but Human Rights Watch, a bunch of people out here, Elizabeth Calvin and other people, they spearheaded a campaign through empirical studies that showed first it was anyone under the age of 23, and then it went up to 25. So for me, being 20 when my crime happened, I definitely fit into that category. So all those laws changed. So a lot of guys that were doing, heavy sentences, 100 to life, now they're going to be eligible for parole. Senate Bill 394 passed, and that included life without parole inmates under the age of 18. So I think the next thing that's coming in California are individuals within that age category like mine going to drop it and give us the opportunity to see a parole board.
So that's what I was going to ask you. So that gives you the opportunity to see the board then.
Well, nothing's happened yet, but I think there's a lot of false perceptions and preconceived notions about me and about my case. I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was mentioning how people on the internet, people think that I was the shooter. People automatically, when you're in here, they think that you're guilty.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of things that didn't come out in the media that, what happened was also there's a new Senate bill on the felony murder rule, and basically that's how they convicted me. They never proved what they had alleged initially. And, I love Nick Markowitz. I pray for him fervently. I never wanted Nick Markowitz to be hurt. I never ordered the murder of Nick Markowitz. And there was a lot of evidence to that in my trial. The reason they convicted me was because they threw in the felony murder rule, which is a lot of people are getting action on right now as far as the Senate bill that just passed 1437. And what it is, if you're not the shooter in a robbery, a kidnapping, other enumerated felonies, they can slap you with a first-degree murder and give you life without parole, which is what happened in my case.
Right. That was, I got to tell you, I actually saw some cases, armed robbery cases up your way, where if you even were in the getaway car, you automatically got charged with murder as well.
Exactly. They'll charge you with a first-degree murder as if it was an intentional killing. And I think that's a key point that people don't know. There was so many things that didn't come out during my trial. It was never, the judge didn't allow it on court TV or anything like that. If it would have been, I think there would have been a public outcry of indignation as far as what happened because of just the evidence. There was so much exculpatory evidence. There were tapes that were of a key witness, was a friend of mine, Casey Sheehan, that was with Ryan Hoyt before and after the murder up to his arrest. Jury never heard where he says that Hoyt did it on his own. We had a juror number 3. She recanted in 2010 before I was even sentenced, and she had written me at Wasco in prison reception. She said she was bullied into the whole felony murder theory. She said that, she was wrong and so was that verdict. The prosecution proved nothing. She said I shouldn't be held accountable for other people's bad decisions. And that's just one of the things that came out. There was another witness that never got to testify that was with my alleged co-defendant, Jesse Ruki.
Right.
He played Justin Timberlake in the movie Alpha Dog. But
that's what I was going to ask you, too, because of Alpha Dog. I mean, do you think that the perception of Alpha Dog was even close to what really happened?
Definitely there's false perceptions and preconceived notions attached to that movie, and I think just in a nutshell, with this short amount of time that we have, I could comment on the thing play-by-play. I've never even seen the movie through from start to finish. I've never seen it, but I've heard play-by-play things in it.
Right.
But if you look in the credits to the movie, it has a special thanks to the DA, Ron Zonin, and to the sheriffs, the Santa Barbara sheriffs. It has credits. So, I mean, they had the movie, anything where they're looking to make money is tainted. That's why Van Gogh wouldn't sell his paintings, because he wanted them to be pure. So, I mean, people that are intelligent people, I think if they really, once you scratch the surface, look into things a little deeper, you can see what the movie was all about. And it wasn't about whatever the real truth of the situation was.
Right.
You look at the facts of the case. Look at the facts of the case. Another point I wanted to make, the biggest evidence that they had, they alleged that I made a phone call soliciting the murder to Santa Barbara. And that was hearsay pretty much from the guy who dug the grave, which name was Presley. He said that Ruge, who was Timberlake, got off the phone and told him that I'd solicited the murder. So when I got back, this is after 9 years, I finally went to trial. I was on the run, I was sitting in the county, and I finally got to trial. And I told my lawyers, go and get the sheriff's phone log and get this DA investigator, Paul Kimes, up on the stand. And when we got him up there, guess what, Joe?
It was totally different.
There was no call on the sheriff's phone log. So, I mean, when you're dealing with a murder case, this is before cell phones. This is the time of pagers and payphones. But this is a house of one of the people involved directly in a murder and the initial kidnapping, Jesse Ruge. So what they had was every phone call that went in or out of this house that supposedly happened was on that sheriff's phone log. You see what I'm saying, Joe?
Yep.
So I went there, and we said, at this time did it happen, there was no call. We have the DA investigator on the stand at my trial. These are facts. These are irrefutable facts. So, I mean, that was their biggest evidence. And this was coming...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
This was coming from a guy who admittedly dug the grave and is already on the streets. Him and Ruge are out there on the streets.
That kind of threw me for a loop too, because I mean, I was looking at the case and I know that they're both out there and you're inside. I just don't get it.
Well, I mean, we have to look at the facts of the situation and who's who. Graham Presley, the gravedigger, admitted gravedigger. His dad was an ex-Santa Barbara sheriff. His mom was an attorney in Santa Barbara. And, my dad was an alleged drug dealer. So, I mean, that didn't help. And I think, if you look at Presley's thing, he had 2 trials. At his mistrial, between his first and second trial, he got $50,000 bail. And, I mean, they come from a pretty, well-off family.
Affluent family.
Now, I've seen Mexican guys in that county that got a murder beef, and their bail's like $2 million. And they had Presley on tape saying stuff like this, saying, we got to get out of here, we got to go to Mexico, or to his mom. So to say that guy's not a flight risk and to just let him out on $50,000 bail, right. I mean, it's pretty clear, and the point I'm making is the judge in his thing, they were friends with the mom and the dad in that county. They went to church with them for 15 years.
Wow.
So next thing you know, you see that. So I mean, they pay. Also, his grandpa, or some, I'm almost positive, there's a guy named Barney Branningham who wrote for the Santa Barbara News Press. He was Presley's grandpa or somewhere connected to their family. If it wasn't the grandpa, and there was a lot of stuff where it was like, I remember there was an article. It was called Markowitz Tragedy, and it painted me as this dark character, this despotic character, like a Manson-like guy, and all these guys were good dudes until they came into contact with me, and I took them under my wing. Well, and they included people like my alleged co-defendant, William Skidmore. Now, William Skidmore, I mean, they're trying to say this guy was a good dude, or he was just a little sweetheart or something. He was from this Filipino street gang, Santanaz out here, which is a gang out of L.A. and Long Beach, which is a big street gang. Literally had Santanaz tattooed all over him. I mean, the name means Satan.
Right.
So they're trying to say I took this poor little innocent guy and took him under my wing, and now all of a sudden he's just an evil guy. I mean, they've really got things mixed up. It's really twisted up, and it's pretty clear why they did that. They wanted to paint me as this major thug, which I'm not.
They needed you as a fall guy. Yeah. So that's crazy.
But I wanted to, that's just touching a few things on the case. I got these other brothers lined up. As long as you got it, if you can get to the phone, they'll be calling. I got a brother Derek and Jeff, and then we'll get to, I got a friend of mine, he's named Anthony, a.k.a. Little Smooth. He was a great shape Crip. He's doing Life for Murder. He's changing his life. He's got a lot to say. A friend named Freddie, he's doing life without parole for murder. Derek, who I told you about,
right.
A. Slayer, he's
right.
14 when he did his murder. And I got, Johnny, he's doing life for murder. He's a Southsider. He's been down for 20 years. He's got some really good perspectives. He did 20 years on the main line. And let's see, who else I got here? I got another one here. His name is Rogelio. He's doing life too, and he's a youth offender. He's coming up for his youth offender parole here, and he's been involved heavily in the in his change now, but heavily before in gangs and in prison gangs and all that.
Well, I'm definitely free for these guys to get a hold of me. So, I know.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome to get different perspectives.
Right, exactly. And then, like you said, the first time we talked.
Yeah.
Like you said, the first time we talked, your case might not touch on somebody where one of these other cases may just, enlighten one of these kids.
Definitely. I think when we were talking before, I was talking about how when I was on the run, everywhere I was going from here to Brazil, every spot that I went, like a night spot, I went to, in Canada, the Hells Angels were out there. I got to Brazil, even in Rio, all the way up to Bahia. Anyway, in Bahia, where they go out, it's like...
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Rio Vermelho, the Hells Angels are there. But once you get... my point I was making, those guys are kicking up dust on the streets and all that, but when you get in here, nobody cares about any of that.
Right.
Same thing. Whatever gang they think they're from, whatever they're repping, whatever they're doing, it's a whole different world once you get to prison, baby. Right. And, I want to touch on some of those other questions, too. Do you want to call back?
Yeah, definitely call back.
And that stuff?
Yep.
I'm going to call you. When it cuts, I'm going to call right back, and we'll touch. I want to make sure to answer all your questions.
Okay.
And, all right. I'm going to call back right now.
Okay.
All right.
All right, bye. Thank you for listening to 15 Minutes With. I hope you've enjoyed this edition. If you have enjoyed this edition of 15 Minutes With, please hit the like and the subscribe button. You can also help me keep this show going and watch it get better by donating to paypal.me/Joe Tomaso. That address again is paypal.me/JoeTomaso. 15 Minutes With is constantly looking for new content to upload and new people to interview. If you would like to share your story, or if there's someone you would like to see us interview, please email us at insidetherazorwire@gmail.com. That email address again is insidetherazorwire@gmail.com. Last but not least, again, if you like to support this channel, please subscribe and hit the like button. Until next time, we'll be seeing you